This case is one of the most infamous incidents that deeply shook the entire nation at the time. The shocking event inspired several Korean movies and dramas, including Hangongju in 2013 and the Miryang Gang Rape Case in the series Signal. Let's now delve into the story of the Miryang Gang Rape Case. In June 2003, a 14-year-old girl known publicly as Choi, residing in Ulsan City, South Gyeongsang Province, South Korea, met a high school boy named Park online. They continued chatting for some time, and in January 2004, Park asked her to come over to his place in Miryang. Curious about him, she decided to meet him there. Upon her arrival, however, he lured her into a trap and struck her from behind with an iron pipe, causing her to lose consciousness. Park was not alone. He was accompanied by 11 other boys who were part of Miryang's youth gang, infamous for assaulting and habitually stealing money from fellow students in the area. The group dragged the unconscious Choi to a nearby motel, where they proceeded to rape her one by one. They recorded the assault using a camcorder and her phone. Choi was completely helpless and terrified. Threatened by the boys, who vowed to circulate the video of her violation online if she spoke up, she found herself unable to confide in anyone about the traumatic experience. Over the course of a year, the horrific abuse against Choi escalated dramatically. She endured multiple rapes in public places such as playgrounds and tennis courts, where she was brutally assaulted seemingly for the perpetrator's entertainment. Reports revealed that she was subjected to sexual torture using various objects. According to police reports, Choi was raped up to 10 times by groups of 3 to 24 high school boys during each incident, involving at least 44 individuals in total over the year-long period. In a particularly horrifying turn, Choi was coerced into bringing her 13-year-old sister and 16-year-old cousin to Miryang, where they too were assaulted. It later emerged that the attackers had filmed and shared videos of her rapes online. The tragic circumstances surrounding Choi's situation are deeply disturbing. With her father being an abusive alcoholic and her mother fleeing from him, Choi had no safe haven at home. Instead of finding protection, she faced abuse from her own father, mirroring the trauma inflicted by the group of boys. In a desperate attempt to escape her suffering, Choi tried to end her life by ingesting a large quantity of sleeping pills. Fortunately, she survived and was hospitalized. During her medical treatment, doctors discovered the extensive marks and bruises on her body, revealing the severe abuse she had endured over the past year. On November 25, 2004, Choi's aunt reported her situation to the police. This prompted a thorough police investigation that uncovered Choi was not the gang's only victim. At least 5 other girls had been raped by the gang members. If the perpetrators had served their time in jail and been punished for what they had done, the story would have ended here. The aftermath of the rapes only exacerbated the tragedy. The public outcry was intense, especially concerning how the police handled the investigation. Reports surfaced of officers harassing the victims, blaming them for tarnishing the city's reputation and leaking their personal information to the perpetrators and their families. Choi herself faced exposure of her identity, which led to blackmail attempts by the perpetrators and their parents. Despite Choi's explicit request to be interviewed by a female officer, her plea was ignored. Instead, she was subjected to questioning by a male officer who reportedly asked inappropriate and victim-blaming questions, such as whether she had seduced the boys. To make matters worse, during the investigation, she was placed in the same room as the perpetrators, while police questioned each boy about their actions in her presence. The police's insensitivity and mishandling of Choi's case were deeply disgraceful. It's difficult to fathom the extent of violation and belittlement she must have endured, despite being the victim. Society failed to protect her from such mistreatment, compounding her trauma. Physically, Choi was in severe condition, requiring extensive medical care due to the injuries inflicted upon her body. Mentally, she struggled immensely, attempting to take her own life multiple times in the aftermath of the assaults. Eventually, Choi was admitted to a closed psychiatric ward for treatment. However, even there, she faced pressure from her father and the perpetrator's parents, who visited her and coerced her into accepting a settlement offer of 50 million won. Under duress, she signed a petition seeking leniency in sentencing for the perpetrators. Tragically, her father and close relatives seized all the settlement money, leaving none for her desperately needed medical treatment. Choi's attempt to resume her education was met with rejection from several schools, unwilling to accept a rape victim. Eventually finding a school that would admit her, she later had to leave due to relentless pressure from the perpetrator's parents, who visited daily demanding she sign a petition for their children's parole. As for the 44 boys involved, most faced prosecution in juvenile court or had their charges dropped by prosecutors. Only 10 were formally accused of sexual assault, with prosecutors seeking sentences ranging from 2 to 4 years in prison, along with 3 years of probation. However, judges, considering the young age of the offenders and some already pursuing higher education or hired for jobs, judges refused to press charges against even these 10. Instead, they sent them to juvenile court. The tragic conclusion of Choi's case saw 13 of the perpetrators cleared of charges due to her father accepting settlement money from their parents. Ultimately, only 5 suspects were sent to a juvenile detention center, and none were convicted of criminal charges, marking the end of the legal proceedings. Nearly 2 decades have passed since these events unfolded, and while there have been improvements in Korea's approach to handling such cases, recent high-profile sex crime cases continue to provoke public outrage over perceived leniency in sentencing. There's also growing concern over juvenile crimes, prompting discussions about lowering the minimum age of criminal liability. Despite these ongoing challenges, our criminal justice system is meant to uphold justice for all, and it must continually strive to achieve that goal. Thank you for watching.